Hello, students. I hope you will be fine at home. So, as per our previous lecture, we have started the unit number 1 in electrical machine 1, that is magnetic circuits. So, as I earlier told you, that the magnetic circuit is very important part. Why is it very important? Because we can say the basic part. Basic part is that we have to basically convert one form of energy to the another form of energy. So we need a coupling circuit. That coupling circuit is basically the magnetic circuit. So in the my previous lecture I told you about one thing, that if you want to say something or if you want to study something, so first we have to study about the basics of that one. Means we have to go through the basics. So if I'm talking about the magnetic circuit, so magnetic circuits having some basics. The word magnetic circuit basically come from magnet, or we can say the circuit, closed circuit, which basically converted into magnet. So first we have to understand what is magnet. Magnet is basically possess the magnetic property, means attraction and repulsion force. The combination of these two means we having same poles, then we can say that they are repelled to each other. But if they having the opposite poles, means they attract each other. For example, if I'm talking about north pole, so north pole always attract the south pole, and south pole always attract the north pole. But one thing is there, that if I'm talking about the magnetic field, so magnetic field having certain properties. If there will be no properties, then we can also say that if properties are not there, that we can not easily identify that it is a magnetic circuit, and we can't say that it is a magnetic circuit. If we want to say that it is a magnetic circuit, then we have to understand the basic thing which is involved in the magnetic circuit. So first thing is that if I'm talking about the magnetic circuit, so magnetic circuit first deals with the mmf. If I'm talking about electromagnetic, means if I'm converting from electrical to magnetic, means if you want to convert from one circuit to another, means electrical circuit is there, magnetic circuit is there. But I want to say one thing, that if I'm talking about the electrical circuit, if I'm talking about the electrical circuit, so electrical circuit having certain things means voltage, current, emf, impedance. And if I'm talking about magnetic field, so in magnetic field we having mmf, magnetomotive force, we having flux, okay, phi, the basically the unit is Weber. If I'm talking about the mmf, that is ampere turn, magnetomotive force. Flux, that is Weber. If I'm talking about B, that is flux density. H, that is intensity. Where the flux density is what? Weber per meter square. You can say area, how much flux confined in an area, means dense in an area. Basically, what we can say, flux per area. Okay, or we can say area is what? The product of length into breadth, length and breadth. So length into breadth means m into m, that is m square. So Weber per meter square. And if I'm talking about intensity, that is mmf per length, means how much magnetomotive force in a length we find. Okay, so two things are there, flux density and flux magnetic, basically magnetic density, or we can say magnetic field density and magnetic field intensity, that is H. Density denotes by P and intensity denotes by H. And the curve which I earlier told you in my previous lecture, that is very important. That is why I taught you about this thing. So BH curve basically satisfy. BH curve does what? BH curve basically satisfy you with the which type of material we have to use, which type of material, or we can say metal, we have to use for confine or for core manufacturing. That we can find or we can identify through BH curve. So in my previous lectures or series of lectures, I told you about the BH curve very in elaborative manner. That is why we can easily identify. And reluctance is very important. Reluctance is what? The property of magnetic material which opposes the creation of flux. Okay, so this is the my previous lecture. Now in this lecture we go through, we just touch the previous thing, but basically study the laws mainly, which type of laws we have. So move forward. The objectives are: help the learner to understand basic theory of magnet and their types. How many magnets we have? what are the theory we have involved in this, and types, how many types of magnet we have. Then make the student familiar with the laws and principles used in magnetic field. So what we want to make the student familiar also, because you are the student. I am delivering a lecture here for you, my dear students, for you. So the I my motto or my objective is to make you familiar with the laws and principle used in magnetic field. Because if I am talking about the magnetic field, so many basically laws and principles comes in my mind. If I talk about electromagnetic, though I thought and electromagnetic, then how can I say this? I am saying this due to, because I know the basic laws. First is the Biot-Savart law. First is what? Biot-Savart law. Basically, these laws is made by Biot and Savart. These were the two physicists called as physicists, not scientists. So the physicists basically search on the magnetic field and gave you the law that is known as Biot-Savart law. And what that Biot-Savart law told you or tells you basically states about the that if we give a current in a coil, so through that current in a coil, what happens? Surround that we find a magnetic field. Okay, surround that what we find? We find a magnetic field. Okay, students, I hope you understand this. These are the objective laws and types of magnet and their types and theory. Which type theory we are basically going to study. If we want to study the theory, so first we have to go just touch the basic also, touch and understand. Okay, now move forward. What is magnet? Now see in this diagram, what I want to show you basically, a spherical structure magnet is attached with a thread. Okay, and with the magnet, the magnetic field occurs and they basically attach the nails. And nail is made up of which? Nails is made up of nails is made up of what? Nails are made up of iron. So iron attracted here. So magnet is a material object that produce magnetic field. Obviously, if I'm talking about electrical, we can say electrical. So electrical field, it produces the what? Electrical field. So a magnet is a material or object that produces magnetic field. The magnetic field is invisible. So if I'm want to show you here that so many nails made up of iron or nickel or cobalt, because iron, nickel, cobalts can easily attract by the magnet. So if I'm talking about the nails, so many nails are attaching or basically attracting with the magnet here in this which is in the shape of sphere. So what I want to show you here, that is means attraction is there, but it is very invisible. Invisible means we can see the attraction or we can feel the attraction, but we're not showing, basically able to see here that some flux lines are there. Similar to your current in an electrical field. In electrical field, current we can feel, but in my suggestion, you can't able to feel it. You will not able to feel it because it gives you shock. So in my view, we can see with the help of what? With the help of ammeter and voltmeter. Is we having the ammeter is there to measure the current and voltmeter for the measurement of voltage. But if I'm talking about the ammeter, so ammeter is for the current measurement. So we can see the reading, my dear student, but can't able to basically see how current is flowing, how charges are flowing. A small red line will find if you want to see, but you can't say that it is of 5 ampere, it is of 6 ampere. With the help of instrument, you can see, you can say that. I hope you understand this thing. Okay, so this is about a magnet is invisible but is responsible for the most notable property of magnet. So how can we identify that it is a magnet? Because it's attracting the nails. What is this magnet is going to do? This magnet is going to attract the nails, and he is doing basically, he is doing that magnet is doing a force that pulls on her ferromagnetic materials such as iron and attract or repel other magnets. Means attract the iron, basically we attract the iron, the magnet attract the irons. Nickel and cobalt are very costly, so they can't available very easily. So what we use? Iron. So attracting the iron, but it is the flux lines are very invisible. Attraction is there, but the flux lines are very invisible. attracts or repel each other magnet. So we can say, what is it? These are the magnets. What we can say, that these are the magnets. We can say, so these are the what? Magnets there. Okay. Now move forward. We're having some domains. Now, my dear student, if I am talking about the domains, we can see here in the diagram. So many domains are. If I'm talking about the magnet means iron piece. If I'm talking about the iron piece, because iron is easily attracted by the magnet. So in iron, what happens in the previous condition? We having domains like this. Means so many electrons are there in the atomic structure. In atomic structure, they having so many electrons, but they are scattered. They are in the form of they are scattering each other to each other. Basically, they are not aligned in a manner. So if I put into the magnetic field, so magnetic field basically align these electrons in a same manner. Means domain before magnetization, and second diagram shows you the domain after magnetization. So before magnetization, what we are going to see here, or basically we are able to see what the what we say, means the electrons are scattered to each other. They are not aligned. But in second case, they are aligned. So how they align? Because the magnetic field occurs on it, attraction occurs on it, and make it what? Make it what, my dear student? Make it what? Make it into the aligned into magnetization. So domain before magnetization and domains after magnetization, we can say. So iron and other ferromagnetic substances, though are different, their atomic makeup is such that. So if I am talking about the iron and other ferromagnetic substances, though are different, they are different. Their atomic makeup is such that if I'm talking about the if I'm talking about the what? If I'm talking about iron and other ferromagnetic substances, though are different, their atomic makeup is such that smaller groups of atom band together into areas called domains. So smaller group of atoms band together into area called domains in which all the electrons have. So these are the domains in which electrons, for example, count from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 domains are here. And one, if I am assuming one electron in a one domain, I'm assuming what? I'm assuming the one domain in a I'm assuming what, my dear student? I'm assuming that one electron in a one domain. So how many domains are there? 11 domains are there, and we can say 11 electrons are available in this. So if I'm talking about the demagnetization, means before magnetization, no magnetization there. So what happens? The basically the electrons are in the scattered form. They are not in the aligned form. They are non-aligned form. But if we apply magnetic field on it, means we put that iron piece between the magnets. So what happened? That magnetic field basically orientate them and covers and convert into the same direction. Convert into the change into the same direction. We can say, okay, what we can say? We can say we can convert into the same direction, and same direction means alignment. They aligned in a same direction after the magnetization. Orientation, we can say. So with the help of magnetic field, the domains are oriented, or we can say the electrons are take places and comes in the aligned form. Comes in the which form? Aligned form. And if I'm coming in the if I'm converting into the aligned form, so we need some force. That force is the magnetization force. Through that magnetization force, they comes in the aligned form. Hope you understand. Okay. And if you put that piece of iron within a magnetic field, though the domains all begin to point in the same direction, the result, a permanent magnet, is nothing more than such an object in which all domains are aligned in same direction. So if I'm talking about the non-magnet, to non-magnet, we can say in non-magnets we having the ions, electrons or ions in a domain. They are not in the aligned manner. But if I'm talking about the aligned, that is after the magnetization, they oriented and comes in the same manner. And if they are coming in the same manner, means they behave like a magnet. So if I'm talking about the non-magnet, means there is no There is no what? There is no alignment. They are in the scattered nature. But if I'm talking about the magnetization, so they come in the aligned manner. I hope you understand. Now move forward. Types of magnet. Now, if I'm talking about the types of magnet, my dear student, so types of magnet means we can say that how can we classify the magnets? So first is the permanent magnet. Are the magnets that retain their magnetism once magnetized? Means if I'm talking about the magnetism, so magnetism means a permanent magnet, the retain their magnetism once magnetized. Ferromagnetic metal which include iron, nickel, cobalt, some alloys of rare earth metals, and some naturally occurring minerals such as lodestone. So if I'm talking about the magnet, so permanent magnet is basically always persist the magnetism field, the magnetic field in it. That is why it is called a permanent magnet. And permanent magnet is basically once magnetized and they always give you the magnetic field. That is the ferromagnetic metal in which we can make iron as a magnet, nickel as a magnet, cobalt as a magnet, some alloys of rare earth metal as a magnet, some naturally occurring minerals such as lodestone. So naturally occurring minerals, lodestone is there. So lodestone can easily convert into permanent magnet. So if I want to make a permanent magnet, so a permanent magnet can be easily made by the magnetization or magnetism basically. If we make magnetism, if we generate the magnetic field in it permanently, so they behave a permanent magnet always and always persist a magnetic field, we can also say that. Now if I'm talking about the temporary magnets, if I'm talking about the student temporary magnets, so temporary magnets are magnetic or we can say material magnets. They perform like permanent magnet where in presence of magnetic field. So temporary magnets we can say, for example, I'm using a nail with the magnet, so of made up of iron. So it behave like what? It behave like a magnet. But when it behave like a magnet, my dear student, when we are applying magnetic field on it. If a iron piece is there, now I have to apply what? I have to apply the magnetic field on it. If I am applying the magnetic field on it, then what happens? It behave like a magnet. But when it behave like a magnet, and when will it behave like a magnet, and when will it persist the magnet? When the magnetic field occurs on it. Otherwise, it not behave like a magnet. If I release the magnetic from that nails, what will happen? That nails are not behaving like a magnet, my dear student. So that comes in the category of temporary. As name suggested, temporary is a permanent. We can always find permanent, but temporary when we need it, we need it. We have to make it, or we will make it, or we will have to make it. Okay. Now, electromagnets are the example of it. Now, in electromagnets, the example of electromagnets are in every electrical machine. Now, as I earlier told you, electrical machine having two parts, motor and generator, that comes in the category of rotating electrical machine. Now, if I'm talking about the non-rotating electrical machine, that is your transformer. That is what? Transformer. So, transformer is non-electrical machine, non-rotating electrical machine, or we can say static. But if I'm talking about a motor and generator, though they having what? They having they having what, my dear student? They having revolving field means rotating part. That is means they comes in the category of dynamic, and transformer comes in the category of static electromagnetic. Okay, so in the transformer or in the motor, what we are going to do? We make magnetic field. So if I want to make magnetic field, though, how can I make a magnetic field, my dear student? If I want to make a magnetic field, so how can I can make the magnetic field with the help of these electromagnets. And in these electromagnets, what we do basically, we having a core. Core is made up of ferromagnetic material, maybe steel, steel, and iron. As I earlier told you, through the BH curve, we use three categories. Either for the small level or for low load, we use cast iron. If I'm talking about the more load, then we use steel, cast steel. Then we use sheet steel. Then we use alloy of it, silicon steel, silicon content steel. So these are the basically core on which we can do what? We wound a winding on it, a coil on it, or wire on it. So if we give supply to that coil, that wire, so as per Biot Savarto, what will happen? Magnetic flux will introduce. How it introduce? First, that current meets with the turns of that coil, that convert into what? Ampere turn. An ampere turn is what? Basically mmf, magnetomotive force, similar to the electromotive force, similar to the electron motion force as per my view in electrical field. So EMF or MMF, we having MMF, but if we found some reluctance in that area, so MMF by reluctance, what we can say, it is what? Flux. It is what? Flux. So flux is what? Electrical field. So electromagnets are wound coil of a wire that functions as magnet when an electrical current is passed through. As I earlier told you, by adjusting the strength and direction of the current, the strength of magnet is also altered. Often the coil is wrapped around a soft core, ferromagnetic material such as steel. As I earlier told you, we can do this. Okay. So next, if I'm talking about the properties of magnet, now if I'm talking about the properties of magnet, so properties of magnet is what? Basically, what are the properties of the magnet we have? First is the magnet attracts objects of iron, cobalt, and nickel. So if having these three type of objects, if they are attracting, so we can identify it as a magnet. Or we can also say that if it is attract means it is made up of iron, cobalt, and nickel. So we can understand that the material which we, for example, we purchase a crockery from the market, and that crockery, the shopkeeper told us that this crockery is made up of steel, made up of stainless steel. So they charge you heavy amount for this because they made up with the steel. Now if you have any doubt, you are feeling that we, the shopkeeper cheated you, that this is made up of iron, and that shopkeeper told you that it is made up of steel, and basically sell you about this thing, sold you that thing, then you think, how can we identify? So use a magnet and try to attract it. If your crockery attracted with that magnet, it means it is made up of cobalt, iron, cobalt, and nickel. So one thing is there, cobalt and nickel are very costly, so the cheaper is iron. So what we say, the shopkeeper use iron instead of steel, and they want to cheat, they basically cheated us for this. So you can identify. Secondly, the force of attraction of magnet is greater at its pole than in the middle. So my dear student, if I'm talking about the magnet, so in magnet we having north and south pole. So we can say the force of attraction of a magnet is greater at its poles. Means the force of attraction of magnet is greater at its poles. Means we can say at north and at south, attraction is more, force of attraction. But if I'm talking about the middle of north and south, middle thing of the north and south is lower compared to the ants. We can say in the ants we having maximum force of attraction, but if I'm talking about the middle, means less force of attraction compared to the ant ones. Okay, like poles of two magnets repel each other. Obviously, if having north south, south north, north south attracting, but south south repelling, north north repelling, but south north attracting. Okay, so like poles of two magnets repel each other. After this, opposite poles of two magnets attract each other. Obviously, north attracts south, or south attracts north. So if we want to see that it is a property of magnet, so how can we identify it as a property of magnet? So if they are attracting to each other, we can say these are the magnet. If they are repelling, again these are the magnet. But if they are repelling the opposite poles and attracting the same poles, so this is not the property of magnet. So we can just identify that it is not a magnet. Now, for example, in the ancient times, if we want to understand or identify that which pole, or we can say we are means the working of map, basically the what we can say, we need some compass system. In the ancient time we need compass, that how to identify that it is a north pole, it is a south pole of earth. So what we can do, just take a bar magnet, just take a piece of bar magnet, it having north and south pole, just try to rotate it with the help of thread. It's free to rotate. So north always try to move the south of the earth, and south always try to move the north of the earth. So we can identify with the north and south pole, that it is a north, it is a south of the earth, vice versa. So we can easily identify with the help of bar magnet with the thread wound, with the wounded with the thread. Means if a bar magnet is suspended by a thread and it is free to rotate, its south pole will move towards the north pole of earth and vice versa. Means south pole will move towards the north pole and north pole basically move towards the south pole of earth, vice versa. I hope you understand. Now move forward. Now this is a very interesting part of the magnet, magnetic dipole. My dear student, magnetic dipole is what? Basically, di is telling here two, and poles you all know, north and south. So every magnet is a magnetic dipole. If I'm talking about the magnet, so magnet are always having a dipole. Why this magnet is a dipole means always in a piece of a small piece of iron, a small piece of magnet, you always find two poles. One is north, another one is south. So if I am a steel rod which is behaving like a magnet, now if I have cut it into the two pieces, so one piece again having north and south pole, another remaining piece behave like a north and south pole. So two pieces behaving with two poles means four poles are there, two north and two south. If I cut it into the more pieces means four pieces, then what we can say, four north, four south poles. So we can try to understand this thing that in a magnet, you always found two poles. That is why it is called as magnetic dipoles. So always in a magnet, you always found two poles, dipoles. That is what is called as dipole. So every magnet is a magnetic dipole. If a magnetic piece of steel rod is cut into smaller pieces, each piece, each piece is a magnet with a north and south pole. See here, it is written. Try to read it. Just read it. What it's saying. Try to understand. Now, this statement tells you or telling you that if a magnet piece of steel rod is cut into smaller pieces. Now I am cutting the steel rod, magnetic piece of steel rod, into smaller pieces. Each piece is a magnet with a north and south pole. So each piece you will find north or south. Means north pole will be there and south pole will be there. Okay. Therefore, magnet can be said to be made of lots of tiny magnets, all lined up with north poles pointing in the same direction. At the ends, the free poles of tiny magnets repel each other and fan out, so the poles of magnet are round the ends. So what it here we can say, see in this, one rod is there. I am cutting into two pieces. Again, we are finding north south, north south. Four pieces are there. One, two, three, four. Again, North Pole, North Pole, North Pole, North Pole. Here we having South Pole, South Pole, South Pole, South Pole. And here we having what? Here we having basically the attraction or repulsion. Means if I want to show you here, here we having north and south. Okay. And if want to say that if north to north, then they repel each other. If I am talking about the north to south, they are attracting to each other. So every magnet had his every magnet is a magnetic dipole, so you can't say monopole. Monopoles means pole means single pole. So every magnet have two poles, not single pole. In every magnet you'll find north and south pole. So I hope you understand. Now move forward. Magnetic field. Now in the previous classes or in the previous lectures, I earlier told you that how can we identify the magnet. So in magnet we having two conditions. Two poles are there. If we having two bar magnets, SN, SN. So if north and south poles is there, so what happens? See the direction of arrows. Arrows show you the attraction force. Here we can identify this is attraction, but in the our naked eye, we can't say it is invisible for us. But we found the attraction. Means north is attracting south, south is attracting north. We can see, but we can't see the flux lines between them. We can't see the attraction force. We basically see the attraction force, but we can't see the lines which attracting the each other. Basically north is attracting to south and south is attracting to north, and south is repelling the south, north is repelling the north. So through arrows we can see, and in this the attracting lines here we can find out, but here we having the repulsive lines, but they are perpendicular. They are in the same line, linear. They are attracting, but they are repelling. So we can say phi. Phi denotes the flux. Okay. So a magnetic field is the area around a permanent magnet or a wire carrying current in which a force is experienced. So if I want to find the force, so what we can say that, if I want to say that this is a force, okay. So magnetic field is the area around a permanent magnet or a wire carrying a current in which a force is experienced. So you are experiencing a force. So we can say it is a magnet, also called magnetic flux density. We can also say that what is, in how much area, flux is spreaded basically. So we can say phi by A, that is magnetic flux density. So if I am talking about also called magnetic flux density. Unit, if I am talking about the magnetic flux density, is what? Weber per meter square, Weber per area. So Weber per meter square. The direction of field at any point should be the direction of the force on north pole. We can say we are showing basically in this diagram we want to show this. We basically having a look that north is attracting the south, south is attracting the north, but south to south they are repelling, north to north they are repelling. So we can say the repulsion and the attraction force is comes in the magnetic field. It basically the part of magnetic field. We can say that it is a part of magnetic field. I hope you understand. Now move forward. Now what is magnetic flux? So these flux lines are showing by the magnetic, here in the north pole, here in the south, a line is there which is attracting basically. In a naked eye, we can say it is invisible for us. It is invisible, but we found some force. That force, how we are finding that north is attracting the south, south is attracting the north. They are due to the magnetic flux. And magnetic flux can be defined as a measure of magnetic field in a certain medium. Okay. In simple terms, if magnetic field had to pass through a certain medium, if magnetic flux is passed through a certain medium, it always travel as flux lines. Flux lines are imaginary. Imaginary means it is in the imagination. We are finding that it is there, but we can't say that it is obviously there. It is always there. It is always there. We are thinking, but we are thinking in the imaginary way. But in the practical way, in the real way, we can't say that. So they are imaginary. But continuous line traveling from north pole of a magnet to its south pole, units are Weber. The units are what? Weber. Okay. I hope you understand. As I earlier told you, what is magnetic flux? Flux is basically the uh, basically MMF per reluctance, we can say. Or if I want to show say you something in the from the previous class, in the previous lecture, I already told you that if we give a current to a coil, that current meets with the turn of that coil, that is ampere into turn. So what we can say 80. That ampere turn with the reluctance means divided by the reluctance, that is S or R, because reluctance is a property of magnetic material which opposes the creation of flux. So flux is basically generated with the help of magnetomotive force that occurs in a coil, and in a magnetic field we are already having this flux, but in electromagnet we are generating the MMF basically in electromagnet. So I am taking an example of electromagnet. If I am talking about the permanent magnet, it is already in the magnet. Okay, I hope you understand. And this is showing by the arrows and some lines. So we find this is the north, 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 and this is attracting. Z I am showing for the attraction. Okay, so I hope you understand. Now move forward. A permanent magnet and electromagnet. So permanent magnet, you always find that there is a persistent magnetic field. Always, as name suggested, permanent. So permanent means you always find a magnetic field in it. But if I am talking about the electromagnet, if I am talking about what? If I'm talking about the electromagnet, so in electromagnet, basically what happens? In electromagnet, we have to make the pump. We have to make the magnetic field. We have to make the what? We have to make the magnetic field. So if I want to make the magnetic field, So first is the permanent magnet is an object made from a material that is magnetized and creates its own persistent magnetic field. Its own persistent magnetic field means always you found a magnetic field there in that one. Okay, you always found a magnetic field in that one. So as the name suggests, a permanent magnet is a permanent. This means that is always has a magnetic field and will display a magnetic behavior at all times. So every time if you want to use that one, it gives you the flux lines. It always attracts. It gives you the flux line and you'll find the flux line in it because it is permanent and always attracts the iron piece. An electromagnet is made from a coil of a wire. In every machine we use electromagnet which is of heavy duty. If I'm talking about the small machine means small machine is there, we always use permanent magnet because permanent magnet most DC machines are available in the market. PMDC we call as PMDC, but in that PMDC basically we use a small shape magnet and easily available magnet. But if I'm talking about the electromagnet, so electromagnet we can easily make and use in every type of machines. In this what we have to do, we have to make a core which is made up of ferromagnet material, maybe iron, steel. Generally we use steel because steel is good. Iron we use for the small cases, for example small transformer or the transformer which is used for the project purpose or transformer which is used for the domestic appliances, means step down transformer. So in the formation of the transformer if we want to make a core, then we use a iron, we use sheets of iron. So an electromagnet is made up of a coil, made from a coil of wire, which act as a magnet when electric current passes through it. When electric current passes through it. Often an electromagnet is wrapped around a core of ferromagnetic material. If it is made up of ferromagnetic material, so it is wrapped around of a core like steel, which enhance the magnetic field produced by the coil. So if I use the steel, so it enhance the magnetic field. So what happens? See here. What I want to say you, in this you are already having the magnetic field, but in this a core is there on which winding is wounded. If I give a current to that winding, that current meets with the turn of the coil, that creates, generates, produce, induce mmf, magnetomotive force. That is the rating is the magnetomotive force is the unit is ampere ton. So ampere ton is there. Basically what we are going to do and which type of we have basically ampere ton. And if I'm talking about the core, in those core we having reluctance. So mmf by reluctance we having the flux lines. That is the flux line showing you here. These are the flux lines, these are the flux lines, these are the flux lines. So you'll find the flux lines in a core. So these are the electromagnet. Now move forward. Now if I'm talking about the permanent magnet and electromagnet, so we have to know the differences between these two. What are the difference? Why we use permanent magnet, why we use electromagnet, and why it is good for that we use permanent magnet. It is good that we use permanent magnet, but my dear student, it is not easily available, and how much quantity you want depend on it. If you want a very large piece of permanent magnet, it is not possible for us to purchase or to use. It is very costly. So permanent magnet versus electromagnet. So first comes property. I am taking 3 points on which we can basically distinguish between permanent magnet, differentiate between permanent magnet and electromagnet. So first is the property. First are the properties. Now permanent magnet has persistent magnetic field. Means you always found a magnetic field. An electromagnet only display magnetic property when an electric current is applied to it. In a permanent magnet, you always find a permanent magnetic field. Always persistence. But if I am talking about the electromagnet, so electromagnet displays magnetic property when an electric current is applied to it. If I'm applying a electric current to it, we can say we find the what we are finding what, my dear student, we are finding what, I am finding an magnetic field, a magnetic field. So why I'm getting a magnetic field? Because a coil is there. So when current is flowing, then ampere turn generate means mm generate, induce, produce or creation of it. Then we are getting the flux. So first mmf, then flux. Okay, my dear student. But see, In the magnet, permanent magnet, it is always a persistent magnetic field. We always find the magnetic field in it. Okay. Now, second is magnetic strength. So, if I'm talking about the magnetic strength, so magnetic strengths, magnetic, or we can say the permanent magnetic strength depends upon material used in its creation. Now, if I want to make a permanent magnet, so what we have to do, we have to put the property which possesses the magnetic field in the magnet, between the magnets, or we can say in the magnetic field. So what happens? They basically behave like a magnet. But if they are behaving like a magnet, means it is totally depend upon the material used in its creation. So if I want to make a permanent magnet, so totally depend on the material which is used. Okay. Secondly, if I am talking about the electromagnets, so the strength of an electromagnet can be adjusted by amount of electric current allowed to flow into it. The strength of an electromagnet can be adjusted by amount of electric current allowed to flow in it. So in electromagnet, we can adjust how much of an electric current, means amount of electric current fluid in it. Then strength we can identify, we can justify, or we can create. We can say now this amount of current is flowing. This is the turns. So we can say mmf is there. For example, 6 ampere current is flowing and we having a 10 turns in a coil. So 6 into 10, that is 60. So mmf will be 60/80. Okay. Now reluctance is 2. So 60 divided by 2, we are getting flux. So flux will be 30. So 30 Weber we having the strength of magnetic field. But if I'm talking about the permanent magnet, so it is totally depend on the which type of material you use at the time of creation. Because in electromagnet, it is totally based on the electrical field, that is current. So how much amount of current, or how means the amount of current which is flowing in that coil gives you the what? Gives you the mmf, and that mmf gives you the what? Electric. Basically that mmf gives you what? The flux. So I hope you understand. Now advantages. The main advantage of a permanent magnet over an electromagnet, that a permanent magnet does not require a continuous supply of electrical energy to maintain its magnetic field. So my dear student, the good thing with the permanent magnet, or we can say the advantage as compared to comparison to electromagnet, the magnet permanent magnet always gives you the magnetic field whenever you want to use it, or wherever you want to use it. It always gives you the magnetic field. But if I'm talking about the electromagnet, so electromagnet totally based on the current which is flowing in it. If a current is flowing maximum, then you'll find the maximum flux density, maximum flux you'll find. If I'm talking about the minimum current, then minimum flux is there. So we can identify the uh, flux with the help of current amount, how much amount which is flowing. So advantage is permanent magnet having the upper hand compared to the electromagnet. Now, so the main advantage of permanent magnet over an electromagnet is that permanent magnet does not require a continuous supply of electrical energy to maintain its magnetic field. Obviously, I told you before. However, an electromagnetic magnetic field can be rapidly manipulated. We can change, we can vary it over a wide range by controlling the amount of electric current supplied into the electromagnet. So, how much amount of current we are supplying in it, the flowing in it, through which we can convert its magnetic strength, or we can control on it. So, I hope you understand. Now, the laws of electromagnetism. There are four basic laws, or we can say the law which we are using is for the electromagnetism. Is for the electromagnetism. Just read it. How many laws are there? Just read it. How many laws are there? Just read it. First law is the Biot-Savart law. Biot-Savart law, basically, this law is created, generated, or made, or basically stated by the Biot and the Savart physicist. Biot physicist and Savart physicist. And I hope you understand about the Biot-Savart law also previously in the school level classes. In that classes, the teachers told you about the basically about the Biot-Savart law. So Biot was the physicist and Savart was the physicist. So Biot-Savart combined manner, they make a law. They made a law that is known as Biot-Savart law. And Biot-Savart law is basically, in a small way, we can say, in a brief, very concise manner, in an abstract manner, we can say the magnetic field generated by current in wires. So, as I earlier told you, if we give supply to the coil, if I'm giving the supply to the coil, so what happens if I'm giving the supply to the coils, then that current is made by the turns. So ampere made with the turns, so ampere turn gives you the magnetic field. One thing is there, Biot told you that if we give supply to the coil, so due to this coil or due to this effect magnetic, we found a magnetic field surround of it. So Biot-Savart is the basic law. First law who told you that we can generate or create magnetic field with the help of electrical field. That is why it is called as electromagnetism. That is why called as electromagnetism. And electromagnetism is a combination of electrical field plus magnetic field. So electromagnetism. Okay. And this is the basic law through which we can identify. We can also say that L is proportional to I, or we can say phi is proportional to I. Phi is proportional to I, and if we want to remove that proportional, we need a constant. So what we write here? Phi is equals to Li. So L is what? Inductance, and L having what? Turns. L having what? Turns. So we can say that with the turns, we can just convert into ampere turn, and if ampere turn is there, we can say that one thing is that ampere turn is there means we having mmf. And if mmf is there, we can say the flux is always be there because mmf is there. So that is why the bias ortho. Second is the ampere law. So ampere law is basically the effect of current on a loop of flux, means electromagnetism. Electromagnetism means electrical field with magnetic field. So Ampere law tells you about the effect of current on a loop of flux, which it threads, which it threads means the effect of current on a loop of flux. If a flux moving in a loop, so the effect of current on loop, which it threading it's basically the current. The effect gives you by the Ampere law. Okay, force law. Okay, force law told you that states you that the force on an electron moving through a magnetic field. We can also understand it is also called as electromagnetic interaction. Interaction means effect of electrical field on magnetic field. Interacting means the we can say effect with the interaction between these two. So we can also say that in a simple manner, whenever there is a current carrying conductor, whenever there is a current carrying conductor plays on a magnetic field, it experience a force. Means if we having a conductor, obviously conductor is there means it is current carrying. So current carrying conductor plays in a magnetic field, it experience a force. Means a force exerted on it, on a current carrying conductor, through which it starts rotate. So this is the basic principle, force law. Fourth law, that is the Faraday's law. So Faraday law is the basic principle of machine, electrical machine. We can say the basic law for the electrical machine. And one thing is that in Faraday law we having two types of law. First deals with the first basically deals with the what? First law is deals with the what? First law is deals with your basically the flux linkage variation. In the first law, the Faraday told you or state you that if there will be change in the flux linkage, then there due to that flux linkage, what will happen? The EMF will introduce. Okay, first law. Second law told you or state you that the magnitude of induced EMF is equal to the flux linkage variation. So first law basically telling you that if flux linkage is varying in a field, then what will happen? EMF will introduce. E is equals to N d phi by dt. Okay. And second law says you that how much the magnitude of flux induced EMF is equal to the or proportional to the basically the flux linkage variation, means how much flux we have vary there one linkage is equal or basically proportional. So I hope you understand. And after this, we having the Lenz law. Lenz law always says you they always opposes the creation of flux or causes opposes the basically cause. It opposes the cause. We can say in the short form, oppose the cause, opposite of the cause. Okay. So these are the laws. In a brief, tell you about the whole thing about these law. But in my next lecture, I tell you about the in the elaborative manner about the four or five laws, how they work, how the applications we have, where we are using these one. So this is about the laws basically, basic laws. Now the later on I'll tell you about these thing, Ampere law. These are the expressions and in the elaborative manner. Now there are some MCQs related to this thing. The uniform magnetic field is what happens to MM when the magnetic flux decreases. So MM is what? Proportional. So we can say what? The electrical machine follow which law? I already told you. The law that induce EMF always oppose the cause producing them. I gave you the brief about this thing, so you can just do it. Then AC generator works on which principle? Permeability of magnetic circuit corresponding to magnetic leakage is undesirable in my electric machine because it permanently magnet are normally made of an air gap is usually inserted in magnetic circuit too. So these are the MCQs for you, multiple choice questions. So these questions you can find in your competitive exams. Now, these are the references. These three references I chose for you, and I took some material from it, and you also read it. They are available in our library. That is the A. Gerald, then R.K. Srivastava, and Stephen G. Chapman. So these are the good books and good references. You can just go through it, study it. You can identify that it is very good. Now it is all about from my side in this lecture for today's lecture. If you have any query, you can ask me. I hope you understand about this thing. So this is all about my side. Okay. So thank you for listening.